Lately, I've been thinking about discernment, not just the kind people talk about when they're making decisions, but the kind that quietly shows up in how we move, how we continue, how we catch ourselves when things start to feel shaky. So I've been ventilating this wig for months, maybe close to a year. Honestly, since last year. It has been a messy process. I bought it with the intention of customizing it and wearing it more like a throw on and go glueless wig despite being a 13 by 4 lace. By no means am I a wig connoisseur. And definitely I am not for the whole glue down to have your lace laid and slayed. I've tried it in the past and it just didn't work. So at this time when I saw this unit, I had no business buying it, but the curls were gorgeous and I couldn't help myself. Somehow, after receiving it, I just convinced myself that I'd be able to modify it to be worn without the glue, while giving natural hairline finesse. So, I started learning how to ventilate, but I kept stopping and starting, and then stopping again, starting again, and then stopping again, until, well, altogether, I gave up and tossed it aside. I'd messed up. The knots would be too big or uneven, the lace wouldn't look neat, and I just paused. I let perfection get in the way of completion. I let the messiness convince me to step back instead of step through. Some knots are even, some are uneven, some are just weird looking, and it is what it is. I know that my technique is far from perfect, maybe nowhere near the general standard, but this was my attempt first at that, and somehow I just stopped altogether. The fear of trying was the root, all because I knew as a beginner it wasn't going to have the cleanness or exactness of someone who's mastered the technique already. And to be frank, you don't need to have those things in order to participate. And while that's not inherently bad, it's the general attitude from onlookers that weighed heavily the most for me. Because I know for a fact that it isn't just about creating for myself. It's also about letting the process be public. Because it's tied to how I want to show up in this world. The need to be public with my process comes from healing, trying to heal the mindset that what I have to offer the world isn't good enough, that I can't allow myself to take part in things that interest me because I didn't make the cut someone else decided upon. And this is just a generalization based off of my past experiences. Despite no one having told me explicitly here and now that, you don't make the cut, somehow the mindset, the thoughts, they festered. That if it's not precise, not at a certain standard, then it's not lovable, not worth celebrating. And I internalized that to mean I wasn't worthy of celebration either. And again, it's not about being praised, it's about showing up. I've hated myself for a long time because of that fear, and now I want to come out of that. Until randomly, I was just chilling on my sofa and I was watching Steven Universe. The episode Know Your Fusion really brought up this whole thought process for me. So here I am, season 4, again, episode Know Your Fusion, and this is where we meet Smoky Quartz again, the fusion between Steven and Amethyst, and they were paired with Sardonyx, Pearl and Garnet's fusion. At first glance, it seems like a playful exploration of fusions getting to know each other, but the longer I watched, the more I realized this whole episode was like a meditational guide for me on discernment. Surprise, surprise. I'm learning life lessons from Steven Universe, but whatever. So Smoky Quartz is confident, right? Playful. And they show up proud of their weapon, their yo-yo, and the way they use it. And it's real. That pride is not performative. You can feel how much they love being who they are. But when Sardonyx keeps questioning them, is that all your weapon does? Aren't there more abilities? that energy shifts. Suddenly you start to see the insecurities bubble to the surface. That moment hit me like a ton of bricks. It was like watching someone who knows they're valid suddenly start doubting themselves because someone else is framing their worth through comparison. And still, that doesn't mean Smoky Quartz's confidence wasn't fake. Scratch that. My bad. That doesn't mean Smoky Quartz's confidence was fake. That's important to note. Confidence can be real and still get rattled. You can be grounded in who you are and still flinch when someone unknowingly holds a mirror to the parts of you that aren't fully healed yet. That's not weakness. That's just part of being present. Sardonyx wasn't being malicious. They're curious by nature. But even curiosity, when unchecked or poorly timed, can come off as pressure. And that's where discernment kicked in for both fusions. Smoky Quartz had to feel their way through that moment, acknowledge discomfort, and keep going. Sardonyx had to realize, oh shit, I was doing too much, and then take responsibility for it. They were both balancing acts. They were both doing balancing acts, not of mastering discernment, but of practicing it. It doesn't come with confidence all the time. Sometimes it looks like catching yourself in the middle of a misstep. Sometimes it humbles you. Sometimes it asks you to keep showing up even after doubt. But always, always, it moves you toward truth. And when you're moving with discernment, even imperfectly, it brings you back to alignment, not because you never falter, but because you're willing to listen, willing to recalibrate, willing to trust your own rhythm again. And that's what I'm practicing, not mastering discernment, but building a relationship with it. Day by day, question by question, fusion by fusion. That's where I found myself, right here with this wig. It reminds me of that saying, perfection is the enemy of joy and of consistency. I used to say that a lot, but I didn't really live it, not until now. Because truth is, when you don't feel perfect at something, you do hesitate. You stall, you stop midway, and you leave a trail of half-finished things behind you. And I'm done with that. I feel like I'm finished with that. I'm declaring that I'm over it. Discernment for me in this moment is catching myself before I throw in the towel. It's choosing to keep going, not despite the flaws, but because of them. This wig might not be perfect, neither is my technique, but this is mine. I'm finishing it, and I'm letting it be part of how I finish me. So yeah, Steven Universe and this wig got a lot in common, and now you know why.